Chapter 2. The Silent Cost of Seeking Validation. There is a hidden prison that traps millions of people. Most of them never realize they are inside it. The prison is called validation. The need to be liked. The need to be approved. The need to be accepted. The need to be praised. The need to hear someone else say, "You are enough." And because they need it, they spend their entire lives chasing it. They change their opinions. They hide their ambitions. They suppress their potential. They silence their voice. Not because they lack ability, not because they lack intelligence, not because they lack opportunity, but because they're afraid of disapproval. That is the silent cost of seeking validation. You stop becoming who you are because you become obsessed with being accepted by everyone else. And that is a losing trade. You have a choice. You can build your life around approval, or you can build your life around purpose. You cannot do both. That's the key. Most people think validation is harmless. They think it is normal. They think everyone needs approval. But approval becomes dangerous when it starts controlling your decisions. When you stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What will people think?" You have already surrendered your freedom. Think about how many dreams die this way. A person wants to start a business, but they worry about criticism. A person wants to change careers, but they worry about judgment. A person wants to speak their truth, but they worry about rejection. So they do nothing. They wait. They hesitate. They delay. And years pass. Not because they lack talent, because they lacked permission. The problem is that permission never comes. Nobody arrives at your door and says, "You may begin now." Nobody hands you confidence. Nobody grants you certainty. Nobody gives you approval before success. You don't need their permission. Read that again. You don't need their permission. The people you admire eventually learn this lesson. Every successful creator was doubted. Every successful entrepreneur was questioned. Every successful leader was criticized. Before people believe in you, they often laugh at you. Before people support you, they often ignore you. Before people celebrate your success, they often question your ambition. That is how it works. The crowd usually arrives after the results, not before. That is why chasing validation is such a dangerous game. The people whose approval you want most are often the last people to understand your vision. You have a choice. Wait for approval, or move forward without it. That's the key. The strongest people choose the second option. Not because they are fearless, because they are disciplined. Remember this. It's not about confidence. It's about discipline. Many people believe successful people act because they feel confident. That is rarely true. Successful people act despite uncertainty. They act despite doubt. They act despite fear. They act despite criticism. Why? Because they understand something important. Action creates confidence. Confidence does not create action. Most people reverse the formula. They wait until they feel ready. They wait until they feel certain. They wait until they feel accepted. And they spend years waiting. Meanwhile, someone else starts imperfectly. Someone else moves forward afraid. Someone else takes action before they feel ready. And that person wins. Because movement beats hesitation. Every single time. Let's talk about social approval. One of the greatest distractions of the modern world. People post something and immediately check for reactions. People share an idea and immediately look for validation. People make decisions based on how others might respond. Their emotional state becomes controlled by external feedback. One compliment lifts them up. One criticism destroys them. One positive comment creates confidence. One negative comment creates doubt. That is not freedom. That is dependency. And dependency creates weakness. Because if your confidence depends on external approval, your confidence is never truly yours. It belongs to whoever is giving the approval. You have a choice. Build self-respect or chase validation. One creates strength. The other creates dependence. That's the key. Approval is expensive. Self-respect is free. Approval requires performance. Self-respect requires honesty. Approval requires an audience. Self-respect requires integrity. Approval comes and goes. Self-respect stays. The strongest people understand this. They are not trying to impress everyone. They're trying to become someone they can respect. That changes everything. Because when self-respect becomes the goal, your behavior changes. You keep promises to yourself. You do difficult things. You stop negotiating with excuses. You become reliable. Not to others, to yourself. And that is where true confidence is born. Not from applause. Not from praise. Not from attention. From evidence. Evidence that you can trust yourself. Evidence that you can follow through. Evidence that you can act when you don't feel like it. That is real confidence. And nobody can take it away. Because you earned it. You don't need their permission. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You need your own respect. Most people spend years trying to convince others of their value. The disciplined person spends that time increasing their value. There is a huge difference. One person is explaining. The other person is building. One person is seeking attention. The other person is creating results. One person wants recognition. The other person wants growth. Guess which one eventually earns both? The person focused on growth. Always. Because results speak louder than requests for approval. Results silence doubt. Results eliminate arguments. Results create opportunities. Results make validation unnecessary. That is why your mission is simple. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for approval. Stop needing validation. Start building. Start improving. Start executing. Every day. Without applause. Without recognition. Without guarantees. Because the people who achieve extraordinary things are rarely the people seeking approval. They are the people pursuing purpose. And purpose is more powerful than validation. Every single time. Remember the lesson. Approval is expensive. Self-respect is free. You have a choice. And every day you choose purpose over approval, you become stronger. Every day you choose action over validation, you become freer. Every day you choose self-respect over acceptance, you reclaim your power. Because emotional control is impossible when your emotions belong to other people's opinions. The moment you stop needing validation, you become harder to manipulate, harder to discourage, harder to stop. And that is exactly what this journey is about. You stopped reacting to everything. Now you must learn to stop attaching your worth to outcomes, opinions, and external approval. Because true strength requires something even deeper. True strength requires detachment.